There comes a time for many of us when the standard cartridges that have decent power, mild recoil, just aren't enough. And so in today's video, I want to talk about 5 Magnum cartridges that I would recommend for those looking into getting into Magnums. Coming in at number 5 is the 300 Winchester Short Magnum. This cartridge is for you if you are a guy that likes a short action, a shorter barrel, a lighter rifle. This is the perfect backpacking cartridge if you're wanting a cartridge that is just about as versatile as the 300 Winchester Short Mag. This is your guy, the 300 WSM. And so it basically matches 300 Winchester mag performance in a much shorter package. Let's go ahead and look at the performance. Performance-wise, I think with the WSM, you want to start with the lightest, probably a 165 for big game hunting. And as you can see, top velocity, you can get close to 3,200 feet per second in this big guy. And then its sweet spot, I believe, is the 180 grain. And again, you're getting well over 3,000 feet per second. You're getting close to 3,100. Then if you want to go a little bit heavier, let's say a 200 grain bullet, well, you're mid 2,900 feet per second. Very similar through a 300 Winchester Magnum. All done much more efficiently in a modern case in a short action. Coming in at number 4 is the 7mm Remington Magnum. Now this cartridge has been here for a while, since 1962. It is a classic. It is a great all-around Magnum. It's for those that want a little bit less recoil than the 30 caliber Magnums, and maybe even a little bit flatter trajectory than 30 calibers, depending on the bullet. And that's why a lot of people get the 7 mag. A lot of people think this is just that great mix for deer and elk. You can go light for deer and heavy for elk. So let's go ahead and look at the performance. I think popular bullets are 150 grain. And according to Nosler, you can get over 3,200 feet per second. 160 and 168, 160 grain at 3,072, and the 168 at mid 3,000. I think this is a good start for an elk bullet. Is that heavy? And then the heaviest you usually will see with older 7 mags is the 175 grain, like a partition. And you can get that going at a pretty respectable velocity of over 2,900 feet per second. It's just a good all-around Magnum that is a bit less on the recoil, but still really good on the performance. Coming in at number 3 is a newer cartridge. Some of you might not recognize this, but this is a 7mm PRC. Now, if you are a fan of 7mm, especially of the older 7mm Rem mag, this is its new version that's just a little bit better. So the 7mm PRC is purpose-built to shoot heavy, high BC bullets at pretty darn good velocities. Think a 175 grain at 3,000 feet per second. So it's about 50 feet per second faster than a 7 mag. And again, it comes with a fast twist rate, so it's purpose-built to shoot high BC bullets. It's a very accurate cartridge, and I think it's going to be the next big cartridge that's to come out. I think the only thing holding it back right now, and this is slowly changing, but it's kind of expected with it being a brand new cartridge, is the lack of factory ammunition. So, especially when you compare it to the 7 mag, the 7 mag has a whole lot more ammo. But give it some time, and I believe the 7mm PRC is going to be absolutely awesome choice and you're going to have a lot of bullet selections. It's just a darn good cartridge. Coming in at number 2 is the 300 Winchester Magnum. This is just a darn good do-it-all cartridge. There are so many ammo options for it, so many rifles chambered for the 300 Winchester Magnum. This cartridge was officially introduced in 1963, and Winchester has really dominated the 30 caliber Magnum with this guy for a long time. Let's see why. Performance-wise, it's hard to beat. I think its little sweet spot is the 180 grain, and hand loading it, you're getting mid 3100 feet per second. If you want to go big, I'd recommend like a 200 grain at well over 29, getting almost close to 3000 feet per second. And if you're really into high BC bullets, like a 210 at almost 2900 feet per second. So really good performance. And again, the ammo options they're just so vast. Now, the only issue I see with the 300 Winchester Magnum is when you get the factory ammo, it's not really going anywhere close to these type of high velocities. For example, a 180 grain, you're going to get around 2960 with most factory ammo. So it's dialed down a bit, but for you hand loaders, you just can't go wrong with the 300 Winchester Magnum. I bet a few of you are quite surprised that the 300 Winchester Magnum isn't my number 1 Magnum choice for those looking to get into them. So here is my actual pick. The 300 Weatherby Magnum. Now I promise I'm not being biased here. Okay, maybe a little. But hang with me for a bit, and maybe I can convince you why the 300 Weatherby should be your number 1 choice. The 300 Weatherby was introduced in 1943, and since its inception, it is by far the most popular Weatherby cartridge. And until like 1996, this guy here was the fastest factory offered 30 caliber cartridge. So it is an absolute speed demon. I will just show you some of the numbers here real quick. But so the question is, why get a 300 Weatherby over, say, a 300 Winchester Magnum? Especially when the Weatherby is a bit more expensive. So here is my pitch. You can get a 300 Weatherby rifle for as little as $500 when you get in a Weatherby Vanguard. And those Weatherby Vanguards are very well made and are very accurate rifles. Now, as far as factory ammo options, they're actually a decent amount. Not just Weatherby, because I know Weatherby is pretty expensive, but you can get factory ammo from Nosler, Hornady, Norma, quite a few out there, Remington. Now let's talk performance of the 300 Weatherby Magnum. This is specifically with factory ammo, but first I want to talk about 300 Winchester Magnum and 7mm Remington Magnum. Now let's say you use a 180 grain AccuBond out of a 300 Win Mag, just like this one in the 300 Weatherby. Your velocities you're going to get out of the box is 2,960 feet per second. Now let's say you shoot a 7mm Remington Magnum, and let's say you get a 175 grain. Factory ammo, you're going to be at around 2,800. Let's look at what the Weatherby is with a 180 grain. Yeah, 3,250 feet per second. And I've gotten a bit more hand loading it. So yeah, you are paying more, but you're getting a bit more performance. So here is my top 5: 300 WSM, 7mm Rem Mag, 7mm PRC, 300 Win Mag, and 300 Weatherby. These are great do-it-all cartridges for North America, and you can't go wrong with any of these. Guys, let me know what you think of my top 5. What are some of your favorite Magnums? Which ones would you recommend for someone getting into a Magnum cartridge? Hope you enjoyed the video.